I don't think you can kiss somebody to their throat or something.
Well.
Uongo.
Well.
Atakufa out of choking.
Gag reflexes.
Hakuna. Atakufa.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Love Matters podcast. My name is Ruel Okeo, and this is a podcast where we aim to ensure that all young people get to enjoy their sexual, reproductive health and rights. Again, this is where you hear real stories by real people facing real problems, where we offer real solutions. Nimeongeza hiyo, umenotice. Anyways, we do have with us a recurring face. Munataka introduction bado?
Unajua kilito recurring inakaa ni kama nini? Ni kama recurring infection.
So this is how you people jump into conclusions.
Giving stigma.
You jump into conclusions. But we do have a familiar face. Familiar face is better, right? Ni upgrade kidogo.
Recurring inakaa.
We do have a familiar face with us. Tutaka tusalimie kidogo and then we can jump right into the conversation.
Hi everyone, it's me again, Doreen Moracha. Yeah, the familiar face.
The familiar face. Huyu ndio tunamuona kila mahali pale social media. But sasa today leo tuko serious kidogo. Today we're very serious. Like tatuna kazi zile tunawekanga tukiingia pale meeting. Of late recently social media we've seen an upsurge or an uprise of people who say wanna infect or they are transmitting HIV to other people knowingly. And they're saying it, the way they're saying it, it's that they're saying it in jest. They're saying it's like they're proud of what they're doing. It's like they're happy. It's like it's just okay for me to wake up tomorrow, Miss Joelle, and just decide, let me go have sex with this one and then transmit them HIV and then move on with my life to the next person. Like it's not a big deal. Ona vile tunaenda tukiambukizananga homa. Like that, now that's what people are doing with HIV.
Yeah.
You know, when we've seen the popular content creator who put that on their status,
on their social
media status. Nikisema status nitakaa nina stigmatize mwenyewe. Yeah, but so what's your take? And you know, both you and I, we advocate and talk about HIV. I major on adherence, you major on stigma. So how can we be able to, like, what's your take first on all of this?
So you've said people are waking up and deciding to infect other people with HIV intentionally.
Quote unquote. We don't know
quote
whether
unquote.
Yeah.
So the follow-up question is, are they actually infecting people with HIV? Because we don't know that part. You know, if I say today, I've infected Ruel with HIV.
Yeah.
It does not mean I've actually infected you, because unless you go and get tested and then the test proves that you're either HIV positive or HIV negative, then you know.
That's it.
Exactly. However, I have been doing HIV advocacy for 9 years now, 8, thereabout.
Yeah.
And these are stories that have been there. This is not a new story. This is not a 2024 story.
Yeah.
This is a story that has been there for a very long time. And people, I think there's this thrill of people saying, I've infected 300 people with HIV. And because HIV has really been what you call a silent pandemic, because we've had HIV for like almost 40 years now.
Yeah, 40
years now. And in the long time that we've had HIV, we've not really met people who come out. Like, we know there are 38 million people living with HIV globally.
Yeah.
But unless you know the person personally or you have experienced them, but we know people who've died of HIV. We just don't know of everyday
who died
people.
of advanced HIV disease.
Actually, it's exactly.
HIV doesn't kill.
People who've died of advanced HIV disease.
Yeah.
But we do not know the people who, in our day-to-day lives, our friends, our colleagues, our partners, who are actually HIV positive.
Yeah.
Because most of the time they're taking treatment and then they're silent about it.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes out and says, Doreen, I have infected 500 men with HIV.
Yeah.
I will trend. If I say that today, I will trend. I am telling you, because there is a face, there is a voice, there is a story.
Yeah.
And then there will be people saying, oh, please, let's be careful out there. And I see it like on a normal day when I do my advocacy and I post a lot about myself and about my journey as a person living with HIV. I see a lot of people saying, oh, infect me with HIV, or other people saying, we need to be careful if people living with HIV look this good. In 2024, there are people who still believe that HIV is a death sentence. In 2024, there are people who still believe that people living with HIV infect people with HIV intentionally. There are so many myths around HIV. So many stories of Jabba. And unfortunately, they keep growing every year. Like the more we improve the science, the more the misconceptions come up. So for example, right now we have the science around U equals U, right? And U equals U means as a person living with HIV with an undetectable viral load, I cannot transmit HIV sexually to another person.
Now the untransmittable
The untransmittable part. So I can't pass it. Like we're trying to bring the untransmittable into normal English.
It's not coming.
No, so we say they can't pass it on. Like that is what WHO was approved on. Can't pass it on. But that is not what we were told about HIV. That is not what we learned in school about HIV. That is not what society says about HIV. Society says HIV is highly infectable or infectious or whatever it is. Exactly. So now when you come out and say, I'm taking my treatment so I won't pass it on to another person, somebody's like, so when you carrier. So you see, it has taken us to a new level of misconceptions.
A whole other new term.
Some people, and there's nothing like a HIV carrier. You're either HIV positive or HIV negative. So now the reason why we keep seeing these lots of misinformation, I think misinformation is just nice. Like,
misinformation is not nice.
Have you had conspiracy theories?
Awatuenda.
Exactly. So that is
on.
exactly where misconceptions come in. Like if I say, as a person living with HIV, if I take Piriton, I will test HIV negative. Unaona vile ina sound vizuri. Like to a layman, it sounds nice. It's there's this sijui niite ni ka-oomph. It is a lie. But it sounds nice to the person hearing it. And we love a lot of misinformation as society, and a lot of the times we just push it. So that is why I usually try to counteract the misinformation with, you can say that you've infected 16 people, but how do we know that out of the 16, some of them did not go for PEP? How do we know that out of the 16, some of them were not already living with HIV with an undetectable viral load? How do we know that these people have not been on PrEP? We don't know, because you believe because you're HIV positive, then you've been infecting people. And the science behind HIV infection is not just that I will have sex with you and immediately you will get HIV. It might not work like that for everyone.
3 months.
And then...
this has been having sex with this person for 3 months.
Exactly. And this person is not taking treatment. Their viral load is like in the millions. Sometimes when your viral load is in the millions, you cannot really be on the healthy side of life. Sometimes the OIs really do a number on your body.
What are OIs?
They're opportunistic.
Not everyone understands these things.
Advocacy. The opportunistic infection. So for opportunistic infections are mostly, I don't know, no, you people will misquote me if I say this. So
tutajaribu kuweka na Kiswahili basi ndo
opportunistic infections kwa Kiswahili ni magonjwa tegemezi. But some of them, such as TB.
Magonjwa tegemezi? Walai?
Yeah. Kai unajua leo?
Ninajua sahi.
So, ujue stigma inaitwaje na Kiswahili?
Unyanyapaa. You really struggle. I struggled with that pale in TV. That lady akiniuliza swali lingine.
Ya unyanyapaa.
Mimi ninasema stigma ni nini?
So, with opportunistic infections, they majorly occur for people who are either not faithful to their treatment or people who have not started treatment completely. So you find that things such as TB are the order of the day, things such as pneumonia, diarrhea, like very, very regular diarrhea, things such as cryptococcal meningitis. And that one is like now, so you are on the bad side, right? So most of these people don't really, and some of them have skin issues. And I'm not saying that now you are going to start looking at people with their skin issues. No, they are actually skin issues that are unrelated.
Acne is nowhere related to HIV.
Exactly, please. Skin issues. No. I'm just saying that In fact, there's somebody who said, I think in one of the forums, that HIV on its own does not kill. What it does is it opens up your body, your immune system, to all manners of diseases. So these diseases are the ones that attack you. So HIV will be there like, me, I did not kill this person. But meningitis...
Me, I was just chilling.
But meningitis killed the person. So amwezi ekele HIV. Because technically, meningitis ndili. So,
diagnosis ikifanywa.
Exactly.
Meningitis.
So you see, with that, what HIV does as a virus is it destroys your immune system. And your immune system is exactly what protects you from other diseases. So wewe ukipata homa, unaandika pale Facebook feeling sick with 99 others because you are actually sick. Because your immunity cannot fight HIV on its own. So it needs some boost. Sasa unahitaji kunywa kale kadawa kajava, uongeze antibiotics juu.
Ako kadawa uslap.
Kuslap sana by the way. Kusaidia. So ukule to fruits and then now you're back to normal. But a normal person who does not have a compromised immune system, in the 3 days, amesharudi back to normal. Homa immune system imemfightia. Kahoma kameenda. So that is the difference between a person with HIV and the other one who does not have. So when we come online and we say things such as, this person has actually infected 16 people, we don't have the evidence. Because in 2024, HIV is manageable and preventable. So prevention, there are different HIV prevention methods. There is PEP. Post-exposure prophylaxis. Hii ni kama kosa kamefanyika, alafu umeamka asubuhi ukaangalia huyu mtu ukasema
si hujui huyu ni nani.
Kwanza unaitwa.
Wenda tu si tu.
So you rush to the hospital within 72 hours, you get your PEP. It's a 28-day dose. So nowadays, unfortunately, young people are also abusing PEP. So they start PEP. After 14 days, they stop instead of the whole 28.
Ndio wanasikia wako sawa.
Then ule mtu alikuja akaconfirm hana nini. Hana HIV. Alikuja akaconfirm. So wanaacha. Then they get another risk or rather another exposure. And then they go back to the 14 pills that they had left. So so that technically inakuweka at risk of what you call treatment. I am looking for that English word.
Ikumbuke please. Ama tuende itakuja.
Treatment. No, there is a word.
Iseme na Kiswahili ama maybe I might know
it. Kiswahili. Madawa zinakukataa. Inaitwaje na Kiswahili?
Na Kiswahili sijui.
Na Kizungu madawa. Resistance, that is the word. Treatment resistance. So you get resistance to either PEP or PrEP if you ever use them in your life. So that is where we bring now PrEP in. PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis. Highly recommended for people in Nairobi, by the way. So everybody living in this city, PrEP should be your best friend. Tukisonga kidogo Mombasa, Eldoret, Kisumu, PrEP. And any PrEP. Anyway, so PrEP is used for people who are either in discordant relationships. So if I'm HIV positive...
What do you mean by discordant relationships?
Naelekea hapo. Let me land. So a discordant relationship is where one partner is HIV positive and the other partner is HIV negative. So mmoja akuna HIV, mwingine hana. So huyo mwenye hana anaendea PrEP as a prevention method. So inamchunga asipatie HIV, inamkinga. Ni kumkinga si kumchunga. Inamkinga asipatie HIV, so inamprevent. So PrEP is taken 7 days before having unprotected sex. So kama umeambiwa kuja Kisumu Friday na hiyo ni Monday, unaanza PrEP Monday. Unakunywa all the way.
Lakini Friday ni 5 days.
So relax. By the time unafika Kisumu itakuwa Saturday. Kenda na basi. Saturday. Mbukinya. Saturday. And then Saturday utasema umechoka. So Sunday utakuwa tu sawa. Utakuwa sawa. And for as long as you are in that relationship.
When you're sexually active.
And you're sexually active. Thing two, it's for people who have more than one sexual partner. Now that we are in 2024, a lot of us are moving away from a monogamous type set of relationship. And we have many partners nowadays. And sometimes people end up having unprotected sex with these partners. So if you have more than one sexual partner, it is highly recommended that you be on PrEP. If you are in a marriage, I will highly recommend you.
The faithful partner.
Please,
the faithful partner.
I will just highly recommend you take PrEP, especially if you're a married woman. Let me not talk to the married men. Married woman, please. How many pleases have I said?
Please.
5 places.
6.
Go and take PrEP. Because there's a risk. Unfortunately, with sex there's always a risk of either getting an STI, getting HIV. So in as much as sex is good, it also has its own side effects. Especially if you are not having sex with one partner, that means you're not being faithful. Or if you're not prioritizing correct and consistent condom use. Because kutumia condom is one thing. Kutumia condom correctly and consistently, those are 2 different things. So the condoms work specifically on the aspect of correct and consistent condom use. So PrEP and PEP are not the same drug. They are both used for HIV prevention, but they are not the same drug. So that is another reason why I do counter the people who say I have infected 300 women, I have infected 500 women, because it does not work exactly like that.
But so now then, if we have to use that line of conversation, does it mean that now people will be like, hizi now ni jokes, tuendele ku risk? Because there might be a possibility, yes, that in those 300, maybe half, hundreds, 50. Let's say 50 from the 300 have tested positive for HIV, right? So what can be the best way to address this pandemic? Because now, then again, people are going to start thinking that, Durin si alisema inaweza kuwa ni jokes, au watu wanatafuta tu clout. So maybe inaweza kuwa ni kweli, maybe inaweza kuwa ni uongo. How best can we be able to tackle this? Because atuta force watu to make condoms. That's one thing.
So that is why we need to normalize the HIV conversation. Because I think because of society just kind of shies away from sex. So because society shies away from the sex conversations, it means we're going to shy away entirely from the HIV conversation. So we're just going to look at it and like, usipate ukimwi. And it ends there. Exactly. But it does not. We have to also give people the choices that exist for HIV prevention. Tell them about abstinence. You know, I was in a room somewhere and people were being told that, what tuambene tu kweli, young people wanna have sex. But they're actually young people who are not having sex, by the way.
Exactly.
So wao wamerushwa tu hapo ndani na wanakwanga home. Wako home wana watch TikTok. Wako kwao wana watch TikTok. Alafu wanaambiwa wana have sex, wanashangaa.
We were just chilling.
So there's abstinence. And we also have to affirm the young people who are abstaining from sex. And
we should not say it's not cool to abstain.
Exactly. It is actually very cool to abstain because that is the route they have chosen and we have to respect it, right? And abstinence ideally prevents HIV, prevents STIs, prevents unplanned pregnancies. And then we now have being faithful. 2 people have come together. They have said, we are out of the streets.
We're out of Nairobi.
You can be in Nairobi and out of the... Unaona sasa unawajudge. Don't judge people. Anyway. So...
Bless you.
No, hiyo si ya kubless.
Take it. Zoea compliments.
So these people have decided to be faithful to each other. We can't just say that just because there's so many... cases of cheating and unfaithfulness, then every other person is doing it. The people who've chosen to be faithful, it means that they are not putting each other's health at risk. Then the people who've chosen, condom is the hill that we are going to die on. Kuna hiyo battalion. And they are correctly, and there are people who actually, when they do monthly shopping, condom inakwanga hapo ndani. I have seen it.
Kwanza vile condoms are expensive.
Lakini unajua kununua condom linakwanga tricks. Ni vizuri uinunue pale ukifanya end month shopping. Juu ukienda like sasa for example umeitiwa mechi and then no mtu amekupatia mechi, amejiofa kwanza sasa hii weather for 2. Amekupatia mechi au huku ununua condom. So unaenda pale kwa shopkeeper unamwambia nipatie maziwa na condom. Naona nataka kumpikia chai kwanza. You know, huwezi nunua condom na kitu kama steel wire. Naona unaenda kumuoshesha vyombo.
He once went to buy a condom pale supermarket. Tell me why simu yangu in Phoenix nilikuwa na yuli hang. They come and it's just like, I said a packet of condoms, and then I get out. Took up one line for you, and it's just like that one condom iko hapo.
Wanakujaji. Lakini supermarket is like literally the best place for buying condoms.
Are the ones in spirits? At the till.
At the till. At the
no
till.
questions
kuna
asked.
Kuanga na itil hapa juu kwenye, you know, supermarkets have like those special ninis.
Yeah.
Kwa kila super I think wako na hizo special counters zenye zo za tuvifuli, tampons, nini like kuna vitu
Ainanga watu wengi
hapo. Super ndio inakuanga the best place. Kwa duka ni mtaani.
Alafu
kwa chemist.
Akuna tu unapita tu hivi kesho naja tu ujana usiku alikuwa nakulana tu ya.
I know. Watakujaji.
Yo.
Okay, hata wakikujaji, imagine, don't worry about it.
But you play it safe.
As long as uliji protect, that is what matters.
And you protect.
So normalize buying condoms, normalize using condoms. I think nini chose kanjo, most of them huanga na condoms as well.
And they're both female and male condoms.
Yeah,
actually.
the sure ones.
Yeah.
Sure zinakuanga na bad PR, lakini imagine they're nice condoms.
Mimi niko na box nzema kwa nyumba.
Yeah, sure.
Even though I don't get any. Go to up for safety.
Usijali ni ya safety. Ipo siku. Wewe ni mtu wa abstinence. Kika hapo kwa abstinence. So, and then now there is PEP, where in case you are at risk, you go for PEP 72 hours. Please take date for the whole 28 days. Na mtu asipate risk, alafu akuja kuambie, by the jana, siju kulienda aje, and then umpatie PEP zako za 5 days.
Yeah.
It is not a shareable drug because apparently I've heard that young people now are ditching condoms, going the PEP and PrEP way, but then they are now sharing. So sasa ni kama kushare ARV.
Syllabus inakimbizwa.
Syllabus inaenda haraka, inaenda mbio. So please, I am begging you, do not share the treatment. Just direct the person to where you got your PrEP. Aende uko apewe dozi yake ya 28 days.
It's only responsible also.
Exactly. So PrEP as well, PrEP haina start. Okay, iko na start lakini stop ni wewe ndio na control. So stop is maybe you have decided now to leave bad manners alone and you're now focusing on Jesus and you want to go to heaven. You don't want to do bad manners anymore. Sasa hapo unawachana na PrEP, unasema mimi nimejitoa kwa streets, nimejipea tiny break. There is nothing wrong. You can always break on the PrEP. But when you go back, you have to start the whole 7 days. So we are hoping one day tutapata injectable. Itusaidie. But
South Africa has the injectable, right?
Si itu iko kwa pipeline. Iko kwa pipeline.
Oh, yeah, that's a pipe dream.
Usiniulize pipeline ni wapi lakini na
CS. It's a pipe dream, but
no, it is actually not. It is there. Ni small issues, but iko. It will come. And then we have the newest baby on the block, which is called the PrEP ring. The PrEP ring, formerly known as the dapivirine ring, is now women controlled and
women centered.
And this ring, it is inserted inside the vagina for 28 days, and it is laced with an ARV called dapivirine. So release your dapivirine kwa mwili ya mwanamke, but it only prevents vaginal sex. So if you have
prevents HIV contraction to vaginal sex.
It prevents HIV. It prevents HIV during vaginal sex. Only. It does not prevent.
See at times only.
It does not prevent HIV if you do anal sex. Hakuna sex ingine, ni hizo mbili. So it does not.
Kaswende lakini utapata.
Okay, lakini it only prevents HIV only as well. Condoms are the only 3-in-1 prevention method we have so far. And I always advocate for condoms and more condoms. But it does not mean that the beauty about HIV prevention is it doesn't mean that you can only use one method. You can, it's a choice, it's a basket of choice. So you can use, unaweza tumia PrEP na condom, unaweza tumia PEP na condom, unaweza tumia PrEP na PrEP ring na condom. Lakini PrEP ring na condom hizo ni methods mingi. Anywho, no, you can actually.
PrEP ring na condom. It's actually very easy.
Unaweza tumia PrEP ring na condom. So na for PrEP ring, I know women have asked what if ianguke. Well, the studies that were done most of the nini walisema as long as iko inserted vizuri, it does not come off. Your partner will also not feel it during sex. Because pia wamama walikuwa nauliza, wena akifeel? So most of the time they won't feel it. So it's specifically for HIV negative women, and it prevents HIV only during vaginal sex. But coming back to how HIV is presented to the world, kuna nilisema juu equals to, sindio? So pia ukihave sex na a positive partner, na nakunywa dawa zake vizuri, na amekwambia viral load yangu daktari alisema iko undetectable, hawezi akakupatia HIV. So there is also that, but haimaanishi that hawezi tumia condom ama hawezi tumia PrEP ama PrEP. Okay, PrEP mostly. So the way HIV is presented to the world, sometimes the way you ask me that, does it mean that now this person amesema nime infect 300 people ati ni stories za jaba only? It's not really always about stories za jaba, but you see, when you look at it, okay, I will answer this question like from a two-part way. So from the data, kama statistics, monitoring and evaluation, kama umesema Ruel, ume-infect 300 people. Our 300 people wajenda kwa facility. We can't count them. It is only you counting them and writing in your book. So we don't know if they actually have HIV. Like from a programming POV. We don't. We know new HIV infections are happening from what we are counting. But your 300 people are missing from the list if they never came to the hospital. Then we now have...
Unless ubebe wote.
Uende na wao hospitali. So that, sasa umetuletea sisi watu wa numbers. Tumekaa chini, tumesema by the way, kwa hawa 300, 280 uliwapatia HIV. You see, so that is a whole different dynamic. But if you just say that just because you have had sex with 300 people, it does not exactly equate to you infecting all the 300. Because they say not every HIV infection is, not every HIV exposure is equals to an infection. Because you don't know kama, ndio tumehave na sex leo. Nimeenda nyumbani, nimechukua PEP. How can you infect? Lakini wewe kwa akili yako unajua ni infect.
That's a really sad way to live though.
It is complicated.
It is.
So anyhow, there is that scenario, right? But there are actually people now, the dynamics of HIV infection, the whole science of getting infected with HIV is there are easier ways of getting HIV and harder ways. So especially men who have sex with men have a very high level of infecting each other with HIV.
Because of the nature of the sex.
Because of the nature of the sex. Women having sex with men vaginally have... I am a woman living with HIV. Let's say I am not... what is it called? I'm a woman living with HIV. I am not undetectable. And I'm having unprotected sex with multiple men, right? Out of maybe 10 men, sometimes I might end up only infecting either 2 or 3. Not because I can't, but it's harder. Because sex is ideally done inside of a woman, not the other way around. So it's easier for women to get HIV as compared to women infecting men. It does not mean that men are not getting infected. It just means that the science behind it shows
women are more vulnerable.
One from a biological view, and secondly, socioeconomically. Because, for example, mimi mpelekwa Dubai. Na nimeambiwa huku Dubai ninalipa 500,000. Lakini condition ni no condom. Na condition ni pia to test. So unaona, with that, it's putting me at risk. Hakuna PrEP Dubai.
Walai?
Nitaenda ku access wapi PrEP?
Mimi ninaweza beba kutoka Kenya. Ninaweza beba just in case. The
socioeconomic power dynamics also put women more at risk of getting HIV than compared to men. So when it comes to men having sex with women, and like a man can infect 300 women. Trust me, it's very possible. But a woman cannot entirely infect the whole 300 because of the nature of the sex. And also, we also don't know if these partners go out there and seek prevention methods. So sometimes you have to look at the dynamics of the genders as well, so that you don't end up complicating the situation. Some people do look at the aspect of oral sex as well, and say that oral sex has a minimal chance of HIV infection.
But there is a chance.
There is a chance, it's just minimal. It is
unless cuts and bruises
exactly
in the mouth. But what are you going to do kissing people with?
Hata hiyo part yenye watu wanasemanga ati deep kissing it transmits HIV. What exactly is deep kissing? Kwa sababu I don't think you can kiss somebody to their throat or something.
Well.
Uongo.
Well.
Atakufa out of choking.
Gag reflexes.
Hakuna. Atakufa. But still, there is nothing that that kissing transmits HIV.
Yeah.
Kissing does not, because the antibodies in saliva are they're not that strong enough to carry a full-blown infection.
Yeah.
So you need at least 70,000 liters of saliva.
Hizo ni drums mingi?
Ni mingi sana. Na hamuwezi kisiana 70,000. Uongo.
Maybe in a lifetime.
Exactly. So that is why kissing exactly does not qualify as a method of HIV transmission.
Yeah.
So shaking hands, hugging, vitu kama sharing of cups and clothes and utensils, it does not really count as a method of HIV transmission. However, HIV is not only transmitted sexually.
Yeah.
I think people just... I know the sex carries more number weight of infection, but there are other people, there are other ways of getting HIV, such as being born with it. That it's called vertical transmission of HIV. That is from the mother to the child. So, but in 2024, a mother can give birth to a HIV negative child. And they live and the child lives negative and the mother is positive. So, but it depends with if the mother is faithful in their medication and... when the child is born, they are put on prophylaxis. And actually, the mother is able to breastfeed a whole 6 months. No, 18 actually. Unaweza breastfeed up to 18 months. So it is possible, right? But still, the children being born with HIV, so we cannot really ignore that. Another way is for people who inject drugs. So the hard drugs, the ones that are injectable. Injectable inakuanga gani? Heroin.
Heroin, some cocaine.
Cocaine
sniffed na. Then I guess it's heroin.
Ni heroin. Ni heroin ndio watu wana injecting. So for persons who inject...
Niko na sindano hapa hii ni hospitali. Msifikiri mimi ni injecting drug user. Nilikuwa na tonsils wiki hawa.
So heroin drug in people who inject drugs pre-exposes them to that because sometimes they share needles, they share razor blades, and in that space I've seen people who inject drugs, and in that headspace, a lot of things go on. So they can even have unprotected sex and get HIV still through that, but it's more of the drugs that kind of exposed them to that
when injecting.
Exactly. So there is also that part. So we cannot just look at HIV from a sexual point of view. There is also the other ways of getting HIV. And I think the stigma related to HIV is what has brought us here. To all of these misconfirmations, misinformations, miseducation. And it's so sad that it's 2024 and we still believe people with blood group O positive cannot get HIV. I am blood group O positive. And honey...
and lo and behold...
it's been 31 years. So, anywho, so the blood group does not really matter. HIV does not discriminate on your blood group. Another thing is the painkillers. You wacheni kupatia Panadol free advertisement because painkillers have been given free advertisement that these people are taking painkillers and soda to test HIV negative. So a person living with HIV can get what we call a false negative test. False because it is not true. Okay? And that is because when your viral load is undetectable, sometimes you can get that false negative test. Because the antibodies hazionekani. What leads to that ni kukunywa dawa vizuri. So when you take your ARVs correctly, you umesuppress virus, so iko undetectable. Inamaanisha sasa umefika mahali kwenye antibodies replicate. What leads to an infection ama what leads to that positive test ni hiyo replication. Ni kama virus inajifotokopi kwa mwili zinaongezeka. So ndio hiyo tunaita viral load level. So virus level ya kirusi inakuwa juu. But sasa ukikunywa dawa zako vizuri, level yako ya kirusi inakuwa tu imechill. Kwa sababu hazifanyi anything. Ziko tu like zime relax. So they're not living their best life because they have nowhere to go. They're not photocopying themselves. But now you can get it. I'm not saying you will. I am using the word can. So that if you are undetectable and you go test and then you don't get your false negative, which is
and also then again, it's not like it's going to happen with every test.
Exactly.
The thing is, I also have a video where I have done about that. Like if you're HIV positive and you do a HIV test, what the test result's going to come back. Mine came back positive, right?
But you're undetectable.
Yes. And I'm undetectable. So sometimes mtu atasema, kwani undetectable ni nini? Undetectable is not a leeway for you to stop taking your medication.
Also, undetectable does not mean that you're HIV negative.
Yeah.
Once you're HIV positive, that is your test for life. You actually have to come to terms with that reality. You have to come to terms with that reality that you are HIV positive.
Yeah.
And this is your diagnosis until we find a HIV cure.
Yeah.
But that is it.
Yeah.
That is it for you, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that your life is over. So this whole stress that people living with HIV put themselves through of why am I not testing negative? You are HIV positive. Like that is your diagnosis.
You're doing more harm to yourself.
Exactly. You're doing more harm to your mental health. You're giving yourself unnecessary pressure just because you want a HIV negative diagnosis.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you will test negative. You might get a false negative, but it does not exactly mean you're HIV positive.
Yeah.
Another way you can test negative is if you are in the window period. So that is not a false negative. That is just the antibodies have not yet fully formed. Because during the 90 days after an infection, that is what we call the window period. And during the window period...
Ni window or incubation?
Ni window. Incubation near pregnancy. Ni window.
Right. We learn every day.
So during the window period, you will test HIV negative. But you have the HIV antibodies.
Yeah.
They are forming in your body.
Yeah.
And they are getting to know you. So if you have unprotected sex with someone during this time, you will actually infect them.
Yeah.
But they will also have to wait their own 90 days. But nowadays we have now better tests such as the ELISA test, even the PCR test.
Yeah.
After 2 weeks of an exposure, you can know that you're either positive or negative.
Yeah.
But you have to go to the hospital. So the self-test kit might just give you a negative test.
Yeah.
But for real, you have HIV. So that's why they say that if you test at home, it's always good to follow up and go test at the facility because it's a screening test.
Yeah.
Another way you can test negative, is there another way you can test negative really? No, it's just the false negative. No, the viral load blips, that's a whole different thing. That's for viral load only.
Oh yeah. Damn.
So just when you are undetectable to some people and the viral load is like 0, they can get the false negative, or when you are during your window period. Otherwise, after that, your test results will always be HIV negative. And I think it's time we just accept that HIV is a disease and it is here with us. And the H stands for human, which means it is human beings who are going to get it. So if we actually reach that point of acceptance, then this shock that we always experience when people say they have HIV might kind of go down because we understand it's human beings living with it. They're our brothers, they're our sisters, they're our partners, they're your neighbor.
Our teachers, even people who don't relate with us directly.
Exactly. They are our members of parliament.
Neville too.
Exactly. So it does not mean that people living with HIV are like some alienated people. They're normal human beings. You actually know one person living with HIV in your life. You just don't know that.
They haven't told you.
They have just not told you, but you know somebody. So I would always like to tell people, nowadays we've been told to be kind, and I feel like, no, maybe people living with HIV should start being kind to themselves first.
Before other people
can be kind to you. Because sometimes we tell other people to be kind to us, but are we really kind to ourselves?
You can't expect it from other person if you can't give it to yourself.
Exactly. So it's important to also be kind to yourself. A HIV positive diagnosis is not equals to death. It's not equals to your life is over. And because I see that a lot. I see people say, oh my God, my life is over. I am now dead. And some people even go to an extent of DMing me and asking me, Sasa, does it mean that now I'm going to die? Imagine asking me that, and I've lived with HIV my whole life. So now sometimes I even ask myself, does it mean that you actually think, yes, I know at one point I'm going to die,
of natural
but definitely it's not going to be because of HIV.
Yeah.
So when somebody says that to me, sometimes I just look at them, and I don't know sometimes how to answer that question.
Yeah.
Because I know you're not going to die. Okay,
it's just by telling them that, because I've also received that. You tell them,
I am not the giver of life, so that is inevitable for all of us.
Yeah.
But it does not mean that HIV as a health condition is your cause of death, because now we have ARVs, okay? And ARVs are actually giving people living with HIV
life.
Quality of life.
Yeah.
But that quality of life, I was actually told that we are glorifying HIV and making it look very nice.
Well, welcome to that.
I was told that, and I was told that maybe it's time we told people that there are also the side effects, the challenges.
Yeah. Okay, with that's a whole other different podcast episode.
I know.
Because that is currently what I'm battling with in my comment sections, where nimeambiwa mimi nina promote HIV. I'm making it look cool. I'm making it like children. I'm telling children it's okay for them to get HIV. I'm like, guys, first, I don't create content for HIV negative people. And I've made that public so many times. My content is for people who are already living with HIV. That's HIV positive people. Watu wenye hawamezi dawa waanze kumeza dawa. That's the whole process of my campaign. Wewe uko HIV negative, you're so salty about me creating content for HIV positive people. So also, again, to your point, are we so used to seeing the terrible side of things that now we want to normalize? Now you want to see the side effects. You want to see me start puking, nimewashikilia hapa camera, and then you go, oh guys, I'm puking, or it's because of my ARV medication, the side effects. Side effects last what? 1 week? It just doesn't make, I don't see why.
Let me say, there is a good thing and a bad thing to everything in life. It's just how life is.
Yes.
But it does not mean that just because a person is living with HIV, then their life is full of challenges and bad things and all that. And the thing is, and this is what I usually tell people, that life's problems don't stop just because a person has HIV and they're only focusing on HIV. No,
still continue.
Your life problems will still continue. If you did not have a job before you had HIV, you still don't have a job because you have HIV. It does not mean that your unemployment is being caused because you have HIV.
Exactly.
There are still lots of young people with no jobs because it's a crisis we have, right? So it does not mean that your HIV status now is the whole problem as to why people are not employing you. If you are a person who, for example, maybe are struggling with relationships, there are HIV negative people still struggling with relationships, still being left, still being told that it is not you, it is me. At least they're giving you a reason, and they're telling you it's because you have HIV. At least, I usually say, at least you have a reason. The others are being told it's not you, it's me.
Exactly.
This is not working.
My family has land issues.
Exactly. But for you are being told it's your health condition. Technically, that is not the problem. It's just that it's the better excuse that they can come up with at that particular point. So your life does not stop lifing just because a person has HIV or doesn't. Our challenges and the challenges of people living who don't have HIV, I think, are literally the same. Especially if you're a young person, they're similar. So you can't really make HIV a personality trait because it's not. And I do see it a lot of people making HIV their whole personality trait. And even from especially from the dating experience, and people thinking that just because you have HIV, you specifically have to date people living with HIV.
You expect people to love you back.
You expect everybody you tell, hey, I'm HIV positive, they're going to love you. Even your family members, they will, trust me, they will still stigmatize you. Your own blood, they will stigmatize you. So that's why I say, before we expect kindness and love from other people, maybe we should give it to ourselves. Maybe. I think we have the greatest challenge of trying to love ourselves a lot through a disease that is very highly stigmatized. And also nowadays I've realized that people are actually, young people specifically, are making HIV a fetish.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, they're making HIV a fetish. And they're making HIV a fetish because there's the thrill of, if I have HIV, sex, unprotected sex specifically, with a HIV positive person, I don't get it. And that makes a story. That makes your blood rush. And
I am immune.
And now you tell yourself you're immune, or your blood group does not allow you to get HIV, or you tell yourself that you are a carrier, which is not a thing. But with all of these things, what I can say about HIV is it is real. It exists in 2024. People are still getting it. And it does not mean that every HIV exposure you have is equals to an infection. But it also doesn't mean that it's not manageable. So if you get HIV, just know it's manageable. It's a manageable health condition. You can start your ARVs. ARVs are actually free. They're free. And in our clinics, they give us milk and scones.
Biscuits.
Scones.
Well.
And also, the major part is please don't, if you don't have HIV, don't get it. I am telling you this because I'm saving you a lifetime of stigma
and
a lifetime of medication. Taking ARVs every day, we might make it look easy in the videos, but it is not. It is not. Even us, I have been on ARVs for 19 years.
And maybe just 4.
Every day is just a winging it experience, guys. So, yeah. Yep.
And with that, you have heard it from the Doreen Muramuracha. Mweneza tukufollow wapi?
Kila mahali.
Susu tuambie basi.
TikTok.
The handle. TikTok where?
TikTok. My TikTok handle is... My TikTok handle is, yes, I have HIV. Yeah, that is my TikTok handle. It's problematic, but that is the handle. My Instagram handle is the same. Yes, I have HIV, but I think the art is Doreen Moramoracha. Facebook is Doreen Moramoracha. Verified account. So if you find another account, just know that is a scammer. It's not me. The blue check is there. Okay. Twitter is at Doreen. At D_Mora. And LinkedIn is Doreen Mora. And YouTube, Doreen Moramoracha.
There you have it. And my name is Rua Lokeo. And this is Love Matters Podcast, where you get to hear real stories by real young people facing real problems, where we offer real solutions. So until next week, same time, same place, goodbye, koheri, adios, and obrigada. Ciao.
Love Matters. Open, honest, sex-friendly.